Once on the roof, we immediately felt the cold hug of the autumn wind. The closer October got, the more uncomfortable it was to be up on the roof in only a single layer of clothing. Do you know what I want to say? I do. So? What? She looked openly disinterested. Feels like you want to be accused of these murders. If she has to come to a decision already, what does it matter what I want? Kagome responded calmly, as if we were talking about something utterly mundane. Who's she? Ellie? Do you really think she personally controls Kobayashi Corporation? Or the police? Maybe she runs the entirety of Japan? If not her, then her grandfather. Wait. I was beginning to understand. You think you've been framed? Don't you? I think killing 8 people for that is a bit much. 1 would do the trick. But 8 is more convincing. And who do you think would want that? You tell me. What do I have to do with it? You talked to her grandfather. Only because he called me up there. As you might recall, you weren't invited. Of course, I'm a girl. Kagome smirked. Christ, you could as well be an attack helicopter. Really, we're bringing that meme back? What do you identify as? I'm an Apache attack helicopter. I'm sure he had his reasons, but besides, I relayed the entire conversation to you in detail. Maybe you really believe what you're saying, but it doesn't make my life any easier. The only thing not making your life easier is your own actions. You could have just denied everything from the start. Yeah, and how would that help? She bared her teeth. What are you even accusing me of? Do you know any details about their murders? Where they happened? What the murder weapon was? Do you know anything apart from what the principal said yesterday? No. I mumbled and immediately felt guilty. But you could at least say that you had an alibi. For what time? If it happened in the night, it must have. I was sleeping in my room, alone. The only person who can confirm that is my grandfather, but you saw him. Still, I had a better grasp of what she was thinking. I still think you're going overboard. I don't know if it's fatalism or whatever, but you can't actually believe this is out of your control. How about you tell me what I should do then? Kagome asked angrily. Sure, don't provoke Ellie. Didn't you just tell me she can't do anything? Ellie's threat yesterday to tell her grandfather everything immediately came to my mind. Maybe she didn't actually control things, but she was very capable of complicating Kagome's life. Just don't. You aren't in a position to. To what? Nothing. This conversation started to really get on my nerves. So you aren't going to listen to me? Fine. She agreed begrudgingly. I'll keep quiet, but it won't change a thing. You'll see. Better safe than sorry. We returned to the classroom, and the following classes passed without any incident. During a lunch break, I went to the canteen with Michael and Kyosuke. It had an unusually large number of free seats, and the students standing in the queue or sitting by the tables looked like they were there for a funeral, not lunch. Do you guys also think the atmosphere is a little heavy? No wonder. What Michael's trying to say is that this is a terrible tragedy for our school. Oh, we had no clue. I scoffed without much irritation. Well, now I'm going to tell you something you definitely have no clue about. Kyosuke leaned back and looked at us victoriously, clearly expecting, if not applause, at least enthusiastic questioning. What? We're curious at all? Tell us already. I talked to Dad and learned some details about the murders. Really? I was actually surprised. I always thought that his father was just some low-ranking government employee. I know you've always believed me, but... Come on, Kyosuke, this isn't a game. Fine. He said with disappointment, continued. They were all killed inside an abandoned warehouse. Of course it was the fucking warehouse. God damn it. It's always the fucking warehouse. It's always that fucking warehouse. I think Himitsu's route is the only one that didn't have something go down at that warehouse. He named the district. Shot, to be precise. Shot. Guns. If they think Iwamura packing heat, I could believe it. I could actually believe it. I could label this clique all I wanted in my mind, but what could they be doing inside an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city on a Sunday night? They were rich kids, not drug addicts with a track record. And they were shot. Which meant Kagome clearly had nothing to do with it. I wouldn't say clearly. I would say more than likely, but I wouldn't say clearly. Are you sure? My own father wouldn't lie to me, would he? No, he wouldn't. I repeated and looked at him more closely. Kyosuke liked to exaggerate, but this wasn't anime we were talking about. What do you think? I asked Michael. I don't know yet. We don't have enough facts. Take a guess. My guess won't help crack the case. We're trying to crack anything. Why not? I think this is very interesting. People died, Kyosuke. This isn't a detective novel. I know that perfectly well. We can't bring them back to life anyway. But the murderers should face their just punishment. He said in the tone of Kiyama-sensei. The police will take care of that. Police. He grumbled. I've been reading a manga recently. Surprise. Suddenly he stopped himself, blushed, went silent, and focused on his udon. As for me, it seems very strange that 8 students from good families suddenly ended up in some abandoned warehouse at night. What do you think, Michael? I guess it is. Seeing his reaction, you'd think we were discussing a boring TV show. So there must have been a reason for it. Or they were brought there. To be killed? Maybe. Which means there's no way a single person could have done it. Who says it was one person? Nobody, I'm just thinking out loud. Alright guys, I've got something really important to do, so I'll leave you here. Kyosuke giggled idiotically, but Michael didn't react in any way. I had to talk to Ellie. Of course, she could learn all these details and more from her grandfather, but something was telling me he wouldn't upset his granddaughter more than necessary. Without bothering to drop by her classroom, I headed directly for the old wing. Hi. Ellie was sitting behind the piano, clearly bored, looking out the window. Neck? Hi. She responded emotionlessly. Why the long face? Well... Okay, I get it. I have news. What news? I learned from a classmate. My guy, that's not the way to bring it up. I learned from a classmate that this is the exact details of how your friends were murdered. You say, hey. So I learned from a classmate whose father has ties to the police, alright? We learned some information. I don't think Kagome's to blame. She asked, what's your reasons? Well, here's the thing. They were in an older, they were shot. Yo, who's got guns? They were, oh god, this is fucking making me cringe already. The way this man charges in, you're like, hey, by the way, I just want to let you know, I've learned from a classmate that your friends were murdered together. Especially when he says, I learned from a classmate and doesn't elaborate on that at all. Like, oh, you heard some gossip from a classmate, so that exonerates Kagome, right? For all you know, everything you're going to say, she's going to take as hearsay. Objection hearsay? Can I get an objection hearsay in chat? Like... Alright, whatever. I learned from a classmate that your friends were murdered together on Sunday night in an old abandoned warehouse in the edge of the city. They were shot. Yeah, that's just... And just giving all the details like that right away off the drop. You're hitting her with a lot to process. Especially when you show up and you're like, why the long face? She's like, well, you know. He's like, yeah, I do know. About that, though. Nick. Lil Dick Nick. Why? I don't even want to press enter, right? I don't want to press the button that makes me go forward because I'm already tired of it, man. Fucking Nick, dude. Watch her face react. But that can't be. What would they be doing there? That's the first thing I thought. Can your classmate be trusted? There's no reason to lie. Could have mixed something up. I mean, that's possible, sure. I want to see it with my own eyes. Do you know the exact address? It was staring me down, cold determination in her eyes. Right now she bore an elusive resemblance to Kobayashi Jun, which I couldn't help but find disturbing. Well, I know what district it's in, but... We're going there tonight. Oh, we're gonna find Kagome there, because it's Kagome's warehouse. Are you sure that's a good idea? If it's true, I have to say it for myself. There must be police there. They won't let us in. If they're police there, then at least it'll mean your classmate wasn't lying. Didn't look like I could change Ellie's mind. Perhaps I shouldn't have told her about this at all. Yeah. Especially when it's like, that's not like an official report, right? He's like, oh, I heard this from my dad who spoke to someone else. Like, once an official police report comes out, you'd be like, hey, have you heard the reports? Here's the official, like, when you got something more substantial than, you know, I heard through the grapevine that, they were all mass murdered in a warehouse with guns. Like, yeah, no, that's, alright, bud. How do you think your grandfather will react to that? I don't care. I asked him what really happened, but he didn't tell me anything. Maybe he's protecting my feelings or whatever. I'm not a child anymore. He can't keep me on a short leash my entire life. I mean, sure, that's true. I agree, but if you don't want to, I'll go there alone. Consciously or not, Ellie used the best trick in the book. Narrowed down to the choice to two options, one of which is clearly unacceptable. Fine, we'll go together. If something happens, I've warned you. Right, then I'll drop by your place tonight at 10. My house is most likely under surveillance, so it's a bad idea. Let's meet at the station instead. Why? Are you afraid of something? It'll just be quicker. She didn't seem to believe that, but didn't argue. Alright, then at 10 o'clock at the station. And don't be late or I'll leave without you. The school day ended without any further incidents. Himitsu wasn't waiting for me at the gate, and home met me with its usual silence. Ellie's idea still seemed stupid, but not necessarily dangerous. The police would probably be there, so most likely it just wouldn't be allowed near the crime scene. There was nothing to fear. I wouldn't go that far, but the mere thought was making me tremble inside. Something was wrong. Some almost imperceptible deviation in the harmonious model of the universe that was threatening my very existence. How had Kosuke's father learned the details of the crime in the first place? Why had these poor students really been killed? The more I thought about it, the more questions I had. Even the fact that Kagome was no longer the main suspect didn't bring me any peace. Because now anyone could be. Indecisiveness obviously wasn't among Erina or Kobayashi Jun's sins, but up to this point they limited themselves to talking. And then 8 people at the same time. It was as if fucking Christ. If it was a warning, even a blind man would have noticed it. On the other hand, I couldn't just see everything that happened as a conspiracy against me. There was a solid chance that even if those murders weren't accidental, they weren't related to Kagome, Kobayashi, or me. Although that was hard to believe. Evolutionarily, humans are programmed to find patterns everywhere. If the bushes next to you move at night, there must be a wild animal hiding in them. A stick in the grass might be a snake. Thunder from the sky is the god's wrath. It's better to be safe than sorry and build absolutely surreal casual links in order to stay causal links in order to stay alive. But rational but dead Homo sapiens don't propagate their genes. As early as 9:30, I was nervously shifting from one foot to the other at the station, occasionally glancing at the clock. It was noticeably colder in the evening. Autumn was gently but persistently driving summer to rest. I was constantly looking around on my way to the station, trying to find anyone following me, but noticed nothing. I wondered how Erina would react if she knew where I was going tonight. And with who? Ellie came at 10 o'clock sharp. I found the exact place, she exclaimed instead of a greeting. I asked our butler to help. He tried to deny it at first, but when I told him how I knew almost everything anyway, he had no choice. Nicely done. You bet. She smiled, clearly proud of herself. Really, though, we had little reason to be happy. Yeah, we're going to a murder scene. An alleged murder scene, right? Like, that's not something you'd be like, oh, yeah, I fucking found the address. I'm going to find the exact spot where my friends got fucking blah, blah, blah. All the way there, Ellie looked somewhat reserved, constantly staring into space. We left the subway at the station in the port district of Tokyo, and I filled my lungs with the unusually fresh air. Have you never taken the subway or something? Of course I have, Ellie asked with slight offense. What's up then? What? It looked like you were taking an exam you were totally unprepared for. Yeah, imagine that. I don't visit murder scenes every day. I told you it was a bad idea. Too late now. She waved me away and looked around. If my butler's to be believed, we need to go there. The industrial district turned out to be much scarier at night than I could have imagined. In the darkness, the endless rows of identical warehouses resembled giant petrified mastodons. Motionless, they still commanded respect for their prior greatness, even if long forgotten. You may not know what a monument symbolizes, but its appearance alone can still make you tremble. There wasn't a soul around, and that scared me more than any potential criminals that could be nearby. It seemed like I was left alone on Earth. If not for Ellie next to me. Looks like we're here. Yup, looks like it. She stopped near a building that looked just like the others. Are you sure? They're all the same. Well, yeah, see for yourself. Indeed, there was a police tape hanging from the gate. I guess you're right, but where are the police? There are only the two of us here. I'm starting to feel seriously uneasy. Alright, you've seen it now. Let's go. Why, getting called fate? Ellie smirked unkindly, or maybe the fear was making me take everything personally. Aren't you? Get rid of the self-preservation instinct? But there's no one here. She took a flashlight out of her pocket and pointed at the gate. See? Give it to me. Suddenly I felt unbearably ashamed for my vanishing masculinity, and I snatched the flashlight out of her hands. Walked around the building several times, but noticed nothing interesting. So they were called inside. You wanted to be certain that it happened here? Well, now you are. I don't think we need any extra details. Ellie, about to keep going, hesitated. But we won't find... There. I guess not, but... Of course, the bodies had long been taken away, but there could be bloodstains. I can totally imagine what happens when a person gets shot in real life. In movies, you sometimes see literal liters of blood splashing all over the place, even from a minor wound. There had to be some traces left, right? Firearm possession was prohibited in Japan, so they most likely had been shot with a regular revolver, not turned into Swiss cheese with a machine gun. Neck? Yeah, sorry, I was just thinking. Maybe you're right. We shouldn't... Suddenly somebody's shadow flickered in the light. Ah! I shouted and jumped to me. But at that moment, I also wanted to be anywhere but here. Who's there? My voice was trembling. A person stepped out of the darkness. It's Kagome. Neck? I sunk her fingernails into my hand so hard I almost shouted. I had to run, but I was so paralyzed by fear my legs refused to obey me. Calm down already. The voice sounded familiar. Then Kagome stepped into the light. What are you doing here? I immediately felt like I could breathe again, like there had been a rope binding my chest and then it snapped. Same thing as you, I assume. Came to see the crime scene. But how? It wasn't hard to follow you. Follow us? So wait, had you and Mona been watching my house till evening and followed me to the station so well I hadn't noticed, boarded the train? No, that sounded ridiculous. How had you even found out I was going somewhere tonight? You're lying. Ellie shouted, finally coming to her senses. Maybe I am. Kagome shrugged, nonplussed. Think for yourself. Why would I return to the crime scene and reveal myself to you? Because you're crazy! This is too much. What are you trying to do? What am I trying to do? She pretended to think about it, but immediately smirked. What does it matter? Whatever I say, she won't ever believe me. Now you won't either. Yumoto was stubbornly digging herself a deeper and deeper grave, ignoring all logic and common sense. Neck, let's leave. I'm scared. Ellie whispered, but I paid no attention to it, still trying to figure out what was really going on. Can you explain what you're doing? Maybe I just enjoy making you miserable. Fine. You wanted to see the crime scene, so did I. I need to know what I'm being accused of. In the sounds of the night, Kagome's voice sounded unnatural, like the villain from a black and white movie. Neck? Ellie was pulling on my sleeve. I couldn't understand what Kagome was doing here. I couldn't figure out what she was trying to accomplish. But she definitely had a reason to behave the way she was. How did you even end up here? I told you. I don't believe it. You weren't following me. I would have noticed. Well, think whatever you want. I'll say it again. I'm not going to prove anything to you. You know what? Fine. I've done everything I could. I kept trembling, and it took some effort to lead her away from that damned warehouse in Iwamura. We reached the station without saying a word to each other. Last train brought us to the city center. Will you make it home? Don't worry, I live nearby. And you? I'll make a call. They'll pick me up in a car. What will your grandfather say? I don't care. Ellie hadn't smiled once in the last hour. The usual twinkle in her eye nowhere to be seen. Well, alright then. I was about to leave, not knowing what else I could say after everything that happened. Could you stay with me for a bit? She asked quietly and sat on a bench. I sat next to her. Ellie looked exhausted and was just staring at Kobayashi Corporation's office. You've been there, right? I have. I always thought it was a terrible place. All that steel, concrete, and glass. Seems like undead. Like a metal monster from a children's fairy tale. She made a little smile, but immediately lowered her head. You think I'm stupid, don't you? No, not at all. Why would you think that? You'd think that having recovered from her shock a bit, Ellie would start cursing Kagome, but she looked as if she was to blame for everything that had happened. Because he told me she shouldn't go there, and I didn't listen. Well, yeah, I did, but, you know, now I think it wasn't for nothing. What do you mean? I really didn't expect to meet Iwamura there, but maybe it's for the better. So, also you think she's the murderer? I don't know what to think anymore. The wind grew stronger and Ellie shivered. I immediately stood up, took off my jacket, put it over her shoulders. Thank you. I thought you'd resist a bit for the sake of decency. Accept what you're given, or run when you're beaten. She answered calmly and bundled up a bit tighter. Words of a true lady. Ellie laughed, but almost immediately looked up at me and asked seriously, what should I do next? You're asking if you should tell your grandfather? She nodded. A couple hours ago, I would have said it was a bad idea, but now I'm not so sure. To keep protecting you and Mother after everything she's done? Was she my mother, sister, wife? I started cracking my knuckles. Ellie noticed it and slapped me on the hands. You still need them for rehearsal tomorrow. Right. The rehearsal. Don't tell me you forgot. I didn't. Just slipped my mind. Yeah, maybe it's not the best time for this. I smiled sadly and lowered her head again, like she was guilty of something. And here I thought giving up in the face of difficulties wasn't your style. Honestly, right now, music was one of the things I cared the least about, but I had an overwhelming desire to cheer her up somehow. Do you really think so? Absolutely. Well then. I stood up and the familiar spark flared in her eyes again. Don't be late. Yes, ma'am. I saluted her in farewell. But still, how had Kagome managed to follow me so effortlessly? I was walking home down the streets of nighttime Tokyo, glancing back around every now and then. Or had she actually not followed anyone at all? But then how had Kagome learned where the crime scene was? And even if she had, why would she make a scene again, provoke more misunderstandings? It's like she was doing everything she could to make herself the suspect of these murders. A strange way to find her father. The colder it got, the darker the nights. Maybe it was the Earth's rotation or whatever, but it is at night when you can feel the departure of summer the most. During the day, the sun still shone strongly enough to create the false illusion of warm weather. The coming of twilight set things as they ought to be. And taking my jacket from Ellie, or maybe she didn't want to give it back, so the night's cold made itself known only after a few minutes. I had to pick up my pace. Maybe to a stranger's eye, a guy wearing only a shirt in this weather looked strange, but I didn't meet a single living soul the entire way back, even through a significant part of my route that lay through the city center. Sometimes I would notice a late drunkard I lay trudging along the other side of the street, but no one ever walked in my direction. It was interesting how difficult I always found it to handle the heat, yet how effortlessly I was running now that the temperature had dropped into a range I found comfortable. Loneliness Out of the Long Distance Runner by Iron Maiden played in my head, and I smirked at the clear discrepancy between reality and my thoughts. If somebody really was following me now, did they realize I just felt cold and wasn't trying to run away from anything or anyone? On the other hand, if that was possible, I'd probably be sprinting ahead with all my might, having cast every thought out of my mind. It was just as cold inside the house as outside, even colder after I finally stopped and started to cool down. I heated up the katatsu, but wasn't it too early? I looked at the clock. No, it was time to sleep. First, a hot bath. Still failed to grasp some Japanese traditions even after so many years. For example, sitting in a hot bath daily. Although sitting would be an overstatement, considering the size of the bath and my height. It was more like folding over myself. But it was exactly what I needed after a marathon in the cold. Unlike the Japanese, I climbed to the warm bath first, sat there for about 10 minutes, and only then washed myself.